What happens when the empire begins to crumble? For decades, Nike was untouchable, the king of basketball, the standard. To wear the swoosh was to be royalty, but something's changed. The silence says more than the headlines ever could, and if you look closely, you'll notice the NBA's biggest stars aren't sprinting to Nike anymore. They're walking away one by one. There was a time when the swoosh wasn't just a logo, it was a status symbol, a silent crown worn on your feet. Nike didn't just sell sneakers, they sold validation. To get signed wasn't just to get paid, it was to be chosen, recognized, inducted into a lineage of greatness. Jordan didn't just wear Nike, he built it. The Air Jordan wasn't just a shoe, it was a cultural reset. Kids weren't just lacing up for performance, they were lacing up for identity. Then came Kobe, sleek, efficient, ruthless. He didn't want bulk or flash, he wanted weapons. He worked with Nike's designers to craft low-profile shoes with sniper-like precision, and they delivered.
We got around to his next shoe and just talking future ideas and concepts, and he just point blank said, I want the lowest, lightest weight basketball shoe ever.
Every detail counts, for at least for me it does. And if you can make a shoe as light as possible, without compromising fit, stability and things of that nature, then it gives you an advantage. It gives you a clear advantage. It shaves seconds off of your ability to change directions, your ability to elevate and things of that nature. I mean, every little bit counts.
The Kobe 4 changed the way basketball shoes were made. Less fluff, more function, built for killers on the court. Then came LeBron. Power, strength, legacy. Nike gave him his own kingdom, armor-plated sneakers for a freight train in a jersey, the Soldier Series, the LeBron Elites, each shoe like a war machine. Together, they didn't just form a big three, they formed the holy trinity of basketball footwear. Each signature line was a statement, an era. Nike had mastered the formula, find generational talent, wrap it in tech and story, sell a dream millions wanted to walk in. Back then, players without shoe deals still wore Nike. Why? Because it wasn't about the money, it was about the message. Lacing up a pair of Kobe's didn't just mean you could hoop, it meant you belonged to something bigger, a family, a culture, a cause. And Nike, they didn't chase athletes, athletes chased them, but that was before Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and before personal branding became bigger than the team on your jersey. The world moved, the culture shifted, but Nike stayed Nike. In the old world, endorsements were everything. Your identity came through a corporation's lens. They shaped your message, controlled your rollout, told your story their way, but now players don't need gatekeepers. A viral dunk can reach 10 million people overnight. A single IG post can launch a brand. A tweet can trend faster than a Nike commercial can air. The throne of influence has moved online, and suddenly the biggest question wasn't, can I sign with Nike? It became, why on earth should I? Athletes today don't just want money, they want meaning, ownership, a say in what their name represents. They want to co-design, to control the rollout, to pick the colors, the message, the vibe. Nike once defined the athlete, now the athlete wants to define the brand, and when you've got 20 million followers, a content team, and an LLC behind your name at age 19, do you really need a billion-dollar sneaker company telling you who to be? This isn't a scandal, there's no smoking gun, no big press release, just silence, just hesitation, just stars quietly drifting away. Nike still has the crown, but the throne, it's starting to shake because while they were protecting their legacy, the next generation was building theirs, and suddenly that swoosh doesn't feel like a finish line anymore. It feels like a contract, a box, a brand that wants to own you instead of partnering with you. And no one made that clearer than Kyrie Irving. Kyrie didn't just sell shoes, he created a movement, slick design, grippy soles, shoes made to perform and pop. By the time the Kyrie 4 dropped, he was selling more sneakers than anyone not named LeBron. He didn't need a franchise, he didn't need a most valuable player award. The streets crowned him anyway. But in 2022, the story took a hard left. A problematic tweet, backlash, media storms, and finally, Nike pulled the plug. Most athletes would have vanished, but Kyrie, his shoes didn't leave the court.
More sport. Nike has ended its partnership with Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving after controversy followed a tweet from the basketball player about a movie that spreads anti-Semitic disinformation.
Players kept wearing them, fans kept buying them on resale. The logo didn't matter anymore because Kyrie proved something dangerous. You don't need Nike to win, you just need loyalty. In Morant, Nike saw a future, youth, swagger, explosiveness, the perfect Gen Z poster boy. The one dropped with fireworks, literally. Commercials painted him as the comeback kid, the underdog who made it. Then the mask slipped. March 2023, went live on IG brandishing a gun. The result, 8-game suspension. May 2023, another gun video, 25 games this time. But Nike, they doubled down, released the 2, announced the 3, loyalty maybe, desperation, possibly. The question became, is Nike backing redemption or enabling recklessness? 36 seconds into the most anticipated college game of the year, Zion's shoe exploded. He clutched his knee. Nike's stock dropped by $1.1 billion the next day, but they stuck with him, signed him before his NBA debut, launched the Zion 1, and when it flopped, they launched the second, then the third, but the fans weren't buying it literally or emotionally. Zion was injured, overweight, and absent. His shoes were still on shelves and nowhere to be found on feet. Nike had bought the hype, but the hype didn't last. Kobe was more than a player, he was a standard. His shoes were designed for killers on the court, low-cut, sleek, battle-tested, worn by over 100 NBA players even after he retired. When he passed in 2020, something broke. Shortly after, Vanessa Bryant let the Nike deal expire, and for a while, the Kobe line disappeared. Fans were furious, players hoarded pairs, collectors drove prices sky high. Rumors swirled that Kobe had been planning to launch his own athlete-first brand. Nike eventually made a new deal, but it was too late. The trust was gone. The soul was gone, and with it, Nike lost its connection to the game's most sacred values. Today's players aren't waiting for a signature deal, they're building empires. Anthony Edwards went with Adidas, launched the AE1. It blew up fast, bold design, performance first, and his vision front and center. Scoot Henderson, he signed with Puma before stepping on an NBA court. He wanted influence, not just a check. Kawhi Leonard partnered with New Balance, a brand once laughed out of basketball, and Jaylen Brown, he turned down millions to launch 741 Performance, his own brand with full creative control. These moves aren't accidents, they're revolutions. Nike doesn't just face competition, they face irrelevance. In business, perception is power, but numbers, they're the truth no one can outrun. For decades, Nike was untouchable in the basketball world. Their revenue towering, their market share a fortress, their brand a religion. But In 2025, the cracks finally began to facilitate. Q2, revenue down 8%, digital sales down a staggering 21%, and Wall Street noticed. Nike's crown jewel, its direct-to-consumer strategy, was bleeding. The very channel they spent years cultivating collapsed under the weight of slowed innovation and fading star power. And in a move no one expected, Nike did the unthinkable. They went back to Amazon. Yes, Amazon, the very platform they once left behind in 2019 to protect the brand. Back then, Nike said selling through third parties diluted the experience. But now they're begging for reach, visibility, volume. And if that wasn't loud enough, the leadership baton passed hands. Elliott Hill, the new CEO, stepped in with promises of renewed focus on sport, performance, and innovation. Corporate publicly voiced their opinion, saying, "We need to go back to what actually worked, but rebuilding isn't easy, not when your competitors are building faster." Adidas, they've raised their US market share from 8.2% to 8.9%, and they're still climbing. Why? Because they're investing in young, dynamic players like Anthony Edwards who connect with fans. Their sneakers don't just perform, they mean something. Meanwhile, Nike's market share dropped from 15.2% to 14.1% in just 1 year. And it's not just Adidas, Puma, New Balance, even smaller lifestyle brands like Leaning and 361 Degrees are taking chunks of the sneaker pie. They're all doing one thing better than Nike. They're listening. Where Nike used to set trends, they're now chasing them. Colorways feel recycled, collaborations feel forced, and worst of all, the storytelling, the heart of sneaker culture, is missing. Kobe's line had a narrative. Kyrie's had a following. Even early LeBron models told a story of dominance. But today, too many Nike releases feel like hollow drops, product first, player second, fan forgotten, and fans, they've noticed. Sneakerheads no longer wait in line for the next Nike drop. They hunt meaning, authenticity, and exclusivity. Platforms like StockX, GOAT, and even TikTok have become the new battlegrounds. And in that space, Nike's struggling to stay cool. The resale value of newer Nike signature lines is plummeting. Zion's line sitting below retail. Even Jaws releases have failed to generate the buzz Nike expected. Meanwhile, AE ones sold out. Scoot, zero, trending. This isn't just lost revenue, it's lost relevance. Nike was built on legacy, on icons, on nostalgia. But here's the brutal truth. Legacy has an expiration date. Jordan will always be iconic. LeBron will always be great. But Gen Z doesn't care about what happened in 1996. They care about who speaks to them now. And if Nike keeps selling yesterday's dreams, they'll lose tomorrow's market. Nike isn't falling in a fiery crash. They're sinking quietly, drowned out by younger brands, louder voices, and bolder visions. Because in today's game, you don't just need capital, you need culture. And right now, Nike's losing both. Today's athletes want more than just a logo. They want identity. Sneakers used to be about performance. Now they're about storytelling. They're about connection, about who you are off the court as much as on it. This generation doesn't just want to rep a brand. They want to be the brand. And for Nike, that's terrifying. Nike still has Jordan, still has LeBron, but their successors, they're walking in different directions. This isn't a mass exodus, it's a quiet rebellion, one that doesn't need to scream, because the silence is louder. Nike dominated basketball for decades, but domination doesn't guarantee evolution. The game has changed, the culture has changed, and now Nike must ask itself, can it change too? Because players don't just want deals anymore, they want legacy on their own terms. And unless Nike listens, they won't be the ones writing the future.